Second thing that we should know, and this is perhaps something that is a little bit more important, and we say it early on in our coverage so that you can keep it in mind as the day progresses. President Bush was an intensely not private person, but not boastful person. His mother, Dorothy Walker Bush, taught him humility at a very young age. And the phrase she told him not to say was avoid using what's called the big I. So in that effect, the president really did avoid talking about himself. It made for an awkward speech pattern where he would avoid using the pronoun I as much as possible. I am not doing something, but something is being done. Things like that. Additionally, he hated the word legacy, as reported by Maureen Dowd in the New York Times earlier this week. So we mentioned that to underscore the idea that this entire day and week of services would have felt awkward for President Bush, a gentleman who did not like to talk about himself that much, did not talk about his experiences and what he achieved that much, instead talking about what his unit or his team had achieved or his friends had achieved, and hated talking about his legacy, something that we've been recapping over the course of the week for you. So this fanfare that the president is going through, as you heard Luke mention a little bit earlier, the planning of his own funeral, the pageantry of all of this would have felt awkward for the 41st president, who did not like to talk about himself that much. However, for us laymen out there, people watching all of this unfold, experiencing all of this unfold, this is one of the truly great state funerals in American memory. We haven't had a state funeral with the amount of circumstance and pomp and pageantry as has been afforded to President Bush in quite some time. Let's talk to Bob French, however, about the Bryan College Station community and what exactly President Bush meant to the members of that community. And the reason I ask that is not just the library, Bob, but President Bush was seen out and about in the community. And for what was a small town, what did that mean for people in this community to see a former leader of the free world out and amongst them?
Well, it was basically like a movie star, but even bigger. It was, as you said, the leader of the free world, and he would eat in local restaurants. I used to eat at an Asian restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, Imperial, there on Texas Avenue, and they had big pictures of President and Mrs. Bush sitting in there, and the man who owned it was so proud that those pictures were on the wall, and numerous other restaurants where the Bushes would eat at. And then, of course, they started attending football games as soon as his presidency was over, as he left office, even before the library was built. So he was at football games all the time, always around at tennis matches and soccer and softball and basketball. I sat at a Missouri basketball game, Texas A&M in Missouri, about 12 years ago with my good friend Al, and Al elbowed me and said, look, and right down 3 seats down from us was President Bush. He was sitting next to then A&M President Elsa Morano. And so that was awesome. When we sawed Vashti's horns off, I'm thinking, I'm sawing Vashti's horns off with one of the teeth in the saw, the president, right down from me. And people would see him and get pictures taken with him all the time. I must say, Jay, I never personally got to meet the president. I saw him close up. But never exactly saw him. I was able to introduce, and very honored to introduce, Mrs. Bush, Barbara, at a Project Sunshine banquet, and that was an honor. And it's just an honor to be close to the Bushes, and this is the feeling I think that everyone in this community has. Even though I never got to meet him, my daughter and son-in-law did. My son-in-law, Major Jared Bishop, in the Air Force, when he was in the Corps of Cadets, and my daughter, we're dating already, and at the Oklahoma A&M game in 2002, they met President Bush on the sidelines. Betsy posted this picture this morning on her Facebook page, and people are saying, oh, how young you look. So it has been a long time that the Bushes were part of our community, and they always will be. To use the word President Bush didn't like, they are a legacy that we are proud to carry on here. Jay?
Bob French, thank you very much. Let us now turn to that media riser at the campus of Texas A&M University, where we are hearing that the Bush family has just begun to arrive. Our reporter Luke Simons is there, but I believe we may have images of that hearse arriving and the Bush family preparing to receive the train that has yet to make its way into Bryan College Station. It is the receiving line of that train that you were seeing yet. There is a hearse there. There are security detail cars there, and you see 2 black buses, which we presume will carry the family. However, let us be clear. Those buses are not full. Those cars are not full. the filling of those vehicles and cars, the casket, the family, and everyone else, they will arrive behind where you see the singing cadets there. As they arrive on the train tracks, the family will depart the vehicle, including former President George W. Bush, who is on board locomotive 4141, and they will load onto that hearse. Let's listen into the Corps of Cadets, the singing cadets, as they sing for the crowd. The Battle Hymn of the Republic, sung there by these singing cadets. The Battle Hymn of the Republic, of course, the de facto anthem of the Union during the Civil War. And the reason why we mention that is one of the last presidents to take a long train trip for his burial was President Lincoln. That site where the Aggie band was and the singing cadets were and the train will pull in is a very active and fluid scene. You saw Chancellor Sharp there moving himself and his entourage in there. Along that site, along that route is Luke Simons, who's going to join us now with some sights and sounds from what he is seeing out there in the rain. Luke, what can you tell us?
Hi, Jay. We are over just across the street from Kyle Field. We are waiting for the arrival of the Bush 4141 train. Right now behind me, if you can see right here, that's actually the Texas A&M singing cadets. They are going to sing a few songs. The Fighting Texas Aggie Band is here as well, and you can start getting a sense of how serious this event is going to be, especially for many people here at Texas A&M. It's something that they're going to take a lot of pride in. And George H.W. Bush took a lot of pride in the fact that his library was here at Texas A&M. He kind of became an honorary Aggie in a way because this place was, the values, I guess you could say, are what he really cared about. And that's what the reason why he decided to put his presidential library here in Aggie land. A lot of people have been lining up after the Aggie band did play. You could hear cheers from across the street, and they're just excited to have a chance to see a little bit of history and see George H.W. Bush when he does make that final trip here to College Station. Now, I can tell you the hearse has arrived. Many Texas A&M dignitaries are here as well. I've seen Chancellor Sharp here and President Young. They are actually going to be pallbearers for part of this procession. The hearse is here as well. And what's going to happen is when this train actually pulls up here, the family and the casket will both be taken off. They will be put in the hearse, and then they will just head straight back to the back of the George H.W. Bush Library for a private burial. Now, I can tell you that right now the rain has kind of let up. Hopefully it will stay that way once President Bush does arrive right here. But right now, I don't know if you can hear it. God Bless America in the background from the singing cadets. We're going to continue to watch this as we pay respects to Bush 41. Jay, let's throw it back to you.
Luke Simons, thank you very much. In addition to the uniforms that the Corps of Cadets are wearing, you can spot behind Luke some looks like Navy ROTC people in their dress whites, in addition to a number of other people in dress blues and dress grays and military Class A attire. That is an image we are getting as the train pulls in to our area very slowly and surely. It has made its way and crossed the line of demarcation into the greater Bryan College Station area to some extent. I'm recognizing sites there that show that it is entering into our community, but it is still a little bit on the outskirts. You can see, if you are a local of Bryan College Station, that is the farm area that borders the Bryan College Station region along Wellborn Road. However, the conditions were not too much. The land was not too wet, and it was not too remote for sightseers and that gentleman with a camera to walk right up almost along the tracks and snap a quick shot of the president's casket in locomotive 4141 as it heads into the Bryan College Station area. I don't know if we have an aerial image of this locomotive that we can demonstrate for you, because that can show you the what it is truly in. If we do have that, let me set the stage here. As we look at that locomotive from up top, you'll be able to see not only the people who have gathered to see the train, but the area of our community that it is passing in. There is your aerial shot of 4141. If you look right through those trees there it is. That is the compartment in which President Bush's casket is in. On the right and left side are glass. The casket is in between those pieces of glass on either side for the public to be able to look into the train car. We're hearing that Casey Bowen is standing by outside beyond that security fence for people who are trying to catch a glimpse of that train as it comes into town. Casey, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Jay, as we've talked about, thousands of people are out here to witness this glimpse of history as President George H.W. Bush is laid to rest this afternoon. But as we've been out here, we've seen quite a bit of setup out here, and we're joined right now with Sarah Freeman, who has a little bit of your setup of your own. Talk about what time you got out here and the little bit of setup that you have out here.
We got out here right around 11. We brought a tent. We saw the weather, so we had little boys that would need somewhere to go while they waited. So they played until it rained, and then went in there and ate snacks and waited, and they're excited. They're ready.
Which I bet when it started raining, which was a good thing. Now, can we get actually a little shot of the tent to see what we're actually talking about out here? When it started raining, this was probably a good thing, right?
Oh, it saved us. It was a genius idea. It was my best friend's husband, and he propped it up, and they got in there and were happy playing games.
And I know when we talked a little bit earlier, how important was it for you to bring out your kids for them to be a part of this today?
We stopped our life yesterday. We watched the funeral, we watched the flyover, and I just wanted them to see, not only witness the event itself and honor President Bush, but also to see all these people would stop their life to do this, and that this is what American values are, and this is what being a patriot means, so that they would learn that, not from a book, but from real life.
And so kind of when you're talking to them, what exactly are you saying, and what have they been taking away? Have they said anything about it?
They have. They took away from watching the funeral yesterday. They said they learned about things when they mentioned the Gulf War and things that kind of triggered something that they knew about. But the thing that my oldest son, who's 13, took away, said they talked most about the kind of friend and the kind of husband and the kind of father he was, and that all those things that he'd accomplished for our country, that really the most important legacy that he left was on the hearts of his family, and that meant something to them.
Which you can see thousands of people have been out here today, and that shows the heart and the kind of person that he was, that people who didn't even know him are coming out here to show their respect and to honor him.
It's an honor for us to be out here. I was at A&M when they opened the library, and it was a big deal then, and he always made Aggies feel valued. He took a personal interest in people, and so to have this chapter closed like this on his life, I wanted to be out here.
No, it's not. Well, it's, I bet, an honor, like you said, honor to be out here, honor to be a part of this day. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
And Jay, like you said, you've heard it multiple times out here. People are just honored to be out here to see this piece of history unfold as it comes through. And I know it's still very surreal. Thousands of people are out here. Just the crowds keep continuing to grow as you just look behind me. People are packed. It's almost like cans of sardines almost. People are just fighting to get a glimpse as President George H.W. Bush makes his way into College Station. So live in College Station, Casey Bowen, KAGS News.
Thank you, Casey. It's been said this week, and Casey, the woman that Casey interviewed, definitely alluded to it, which is that President Bush, a man who has given a lot of gift to the Bryan College Station community, this is one of his last gifts to the community. The ceremony surrounding his burial in this community, because it's an active lesson in civics, in civility, in history for people of all ages in this community, and it allows a number of children and their parents and the like to participate in active, ongoing U.S. history, live as it happens. And that is the image, by the way, that we are showing you. Active history as it happens. Let's turn it over now to Luke Simons, who is still standing by at the spot that train will pull in. Luke.
Hi, Jay. We're back over here at Texas A&M University waiting the arrival of Bush 41. It is, I don't know how to describe this situation. It just kind of gives you chills. Seeing the Fighting Texas Aggie band standing at attention, all of the people that are across the street, and you could hear a pin drop. The only thing that you hear right now is a helicopter from a TV crew that is following this all the way down. It's just such a hard thing to explain. Just a little while ago, we could hear the train, the horn as it's getting closer. And just to kind of give you an idea, if you look over in the top right of your screen, you'll see that Texas A&M logo. That is over at Kyle Field, one of the video boards, but right under that. And I don't even know how to try and guess how many people are standing out here right now. But so many people that wanted to be a part of this and pay their final respects. We can actually hear the train rumbling a little bit. For those of you who have ever been to here at Texas A&M, you know, these railroad tracks are something you deal with all the time, and you see the trains, but the fact that this one is so much different than all the others, I can actually see now in the distance the lights. So it is coming right up, and what's going to happen here is it's going to pull up, and they will eventually take the casket out of this train. The family will also get out, and then they will all head back to the George H.W. Bush Library. But right now, the train is maybe 1 block away, so I'm going to just stop talking. You can see the Aggie Band getting ready to play, and we'll just kind of let you guys see what's going on here. Jay?
Luke Simons, thank you. We'll be watching Luke's image for a great deal of time now as we anticipate that train pulling into the Brazos Valley. You saw, as Luke mentioned at the end of his reporting there, the Aggie Band called to attention by the gentleman who leads it in the front there. They are ready to perform. The Secret Service in suits along the route of that train behind the Aggie Band, the conductor of the band preparing them, and there comes the train. That is locomotive 4141 as it makes its entrance into the Brazos Valley. On the front there, the seal of the president. Near the cab, the president's number, 4141, being the 41st president of the United States, and his name, George Bush 41. The train will now pull in, what you'll see, and you'll see that the president's, the compartment that has the president's casket inside it with an American flag on it, that will stop at a staircase. There you see the denotation that it belongs to the Presidential Museum and Library. There you see the Union Pacific classic yellow coloring. And then what will happen is that train will pull in, and a color guard will take the casket off the train. Also on board that train is the Bush family as well. The singing cadets there to your left, who will start to perform most likely when the casket is removed from the train and the ceremony begins in earnest. There, inside, that glass casing, that is where the President of the United States casket is. And that is the view that those along the route today, throughout a big swath of the state of Texas, saw as the President drove by. Inside there is a color guard, it looks to be as well. Gentlemen of the United States military standing by, gentlemen and ladies of the United States military standing by the president. Looks like at attention as he rode through from Spring to College Station. It will stop at that elevated staircase there, and as the train pulls in, we're going to let you sink this moment in. Next for us will be the Bush family loaded in to the beginning parts of this convoy. You see it happening here now. and the convoy rolling up, wheels up, towards the Bush Library, zigzagging through the campus of Texas A&M, turning onto George Bush Drive, which will be closed, and up Barbara Bush Drive, where the Corps of Cadets will stand and greet the president on his final journey back. The slow, methodically proceeding lights that you see through the tree line there, those are the lights of the motorcade, dimmed but on because of the rain. And there is the Corps, saluting the president's hearse as it drives into the grounds of the Bush Library. As the hearse passes this tree line here, let's take a moment to let this settle in. The hearse containing the casket of President George H.W. Bush pulling into the Bush Library now. We've heard from members of the Corps of Cadets, who you just saw that hearse pass by, that when they did the similar thing for Barbara Bush, the similar circumstance of it all, that they could see through the windows of the buses carrying members of the Bush family, and they could see them waving back, expressing support and thanks for what those students did today. Those students were supposed to be off duty today. The Corps ends today. It's the last day of classes for this semester, but they all were ordered to stay an extra day to honor the former president and an honorary Aggie. Now, the last interaction that a combat veteran president will have with the United States military will happen here. An extended honor guard and a flyover from 21 planes. We're going to let you take a look at this as well.
Ready, go! Forward.